Now, in this chapter, I just want to go through an important concept when it comes to a limitation on the number of virtual machines that you can deploy as part of your account. So you just can't keep on creating virtual machines in, let's say, in our North Europe location. So there is a limitation. So this limitation is not based on the service as such. Yes, there is a limitation on how many VMs you can actually create, but it also depends on the limitation for your account. So even an Azure account has limitations. So here I need to actually search first of all for my subscriptions. I need to go on to my Azure subscription, and here if I scroll down, there is something known as usage and quotas, and here let me just hide this. So we can see something known as total regional virtual CPUs. That's Microsoft.compute in the North Europe location. And we can see that we have already reached 100%. I can see that I have used up my quotas of having 4 virtual CPUs already in place. We had created 2 virtual machines, remember. One was a Linux VM and the other was a Windows VM. And for both of them, when it came to the instance size, we had used 2 virtual CPUs. That means we have reached our final quota when it comes to the location of North Europe, when it comes to the total number of regional virtual CPUs. We can see that there is a limit also when it comes to the public IP addresses, etc. Now, after you actually finish this free trial for a month and then you convert your subscription onto a pay-as-you-go subscription, that time a lot of these limitations are removed. So in my Azure account, in my other account, wherein I use a pay-as-you-go subscription, there I actually have a quota limit of 20 virtual CPUs. So I can spin up more virtual machines. And the more and more you actually use your Azure account, I've seen this based on experience, the limitations start to get removed. And when you have a pay-as-you-go subscription, let's say you want more number of virtual CPUs, you can easily request for a quota increase here itself. But if you're using that Azure free account for the first month, wherein you're not using the pay-as-you-go subscription, you will have these hard limitations in place. Because remember, this is only being used for you to try out the Azure services. So if you want to now spin up another VM in this particular location, what you should do is go ahead and delete the resource. If you don't need the resources, go ahead and delete them. Now here I can delete my Linux VM resources. So my virtual machine, my public IP address, my network security group, my network interface, and the OS level disk. When it comes to demo VM, it's also part of this virtual network. So I will not delete this because my Linux VM is part of this network, but my demo VM is also part of the same network. So I will not delete my virtual network. So I can choose all of these resources and I can hit on delete. So even when you're working with Azure, when you're experimenting with Azure, it's always a good practice to delete the resources that are not required. So here I'll confirm the delete process and I'll hit on delete. Now, as I hit on delete, I had the session open for my Linux VM, the putty tool. So now it's giving me an error, as it should, because I am deleting the resource. Now let me just wait till the deletion process is complete. Now here I have got a successful notification that it has deleted my 5 resources. Now when you delete resources, always wait till you get a successful notification, because sometimes I've seen that, let's say you're deleting 5 or 6 resources and there is a relationship between these resources. Sometimes Azure will only delete, let's say, 4 out of 6 or 5 out of 6, and one will still remain. So you'll anyway get a notification that it has failed to delete the resource. But don't make an assumption that when you delete everything, it is deleted. Always look at the notification to ensure that the resources are deleted. Also, another quick important note is if I go on to the resource groups, so let me just close this. So our resources currently are part of our demo GRP resource group. Now you can go on to the resource group and you can delete the entire resource group. When you delete the entire resource group, whatever resources are part of that resource group, like our demo VM machine, will also get deleted. So one of the important aspects when it comes to the logical grouping of resources via the resource group is you have the ability to work with the resources as a group. That's the entire purpose of having this resource group in place. So if I had to delete the resource group, it would delete all of the resources that were part of the resource group.